Recording. So I'm so glad that we were finally able to make it here, Barbara. I wanted to, I can't wait to hear your whole thing about copyright and the importance for entrepreneurs in knowing more about this and paying attention and knowing what they don't know. But I like to start these weekly interviews with kind of a social media tip. So if you will bear with me for a few minutes, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Oh, so I should preface by saying what I want to share today is a time-saving tip, because so many people, and I might have shared this already, but it is so important to me that people not get sucked into that rabbit hole of social media and losing time and looking up and saying, oh my gosh, I just went on to get that note and it's 3 hours later. And so in order to do that, I've been using this particular system for the past few months, and I'm loving it, and I want to share it with people who might be watching. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. What I do is I identify which groups I want to be active in. They're where my clients are, my heart-centered entrepreneurs, my women business network people. And what I've done, now can you see my spreadsheet here? Is that what you see?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what I've done on this spreadsheet is I've indicated what my groups are that I want to be active in on the left-hand side. Women's Business Network, She Breathes Balance and Wellness, Twisted Networking, South. So these are where my people are, where I can add value to the conversations. These are live links, so when I click on it, it's going to take me right over to that group. So what I do is once a week, it doesn't even take an hour, Barbara. Once a week, I go in and I open up all of these windows and I scroll through and I see what kind of conversations are happening. I might share, I'll enter the conversation if I feel like I have something valuable or supportive to share in the group. So I'll do that once a week. What I'll do every other week or so is I am going in with an intent, and my intent is to offer value to the folks in that group by letting them know about an upcoming accountability workshop, my mastermind groups, a webinar I'm holding, a new resource that I've created, and or an interview that I'll be having with somebody I think would resonate with them. So that's my top bar, is the message that I have. So you can see that if I go in, and it's not every week, I don't want to be selly every week, so every other week or so I will go in and do this. This takes me less than an hour a week. I'm in, I'm out, and then all I have to do during the week is kind of focus on my notifications and be organic in my interactions online. So I hope that that is a tip that people can take advantage of and understand that you really want to be strategic. This one that I showed you guys just happens to be Facebook groups. I do the same thing for LinkedIn, and I have different lists on my Twitter feed that I will do similarly. So just being super strategic and knowing what you're going in for. So that's my tip of the week. And now it is my honor to introduce Barbara Ingrassia. I'm going to put this over here so it doesn't look like I'm looking away. Barbara is a certified copyright manager, speaker, and trainer. Her passion is for raising awareness of the role of copyright in our daily lives. Since we're all consumers and we are creators of copyright protected works, and understanding some copyright basics can help us achieve our goals and avoid unpleasant surprises. Barbara enjoys bringing some fun to a potentially dull but vital topic. Barbara's superpower is just that, bringing some fun to this very important topic. Today we're talking about what you need to know about copyright to protect your business, developing best practices, and an action plan. And thank you, Barbara. I'm going to let you do what you do and tell us what you do.
Well, thanks so much, Susan, and everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I do have a passion for raising awareness about copyright. You know, it's the C in a circle thing, copyright law. Mm-hmm. And also because copyright is part of our lives, and the digital age has made that front and center. It's so easy for us to find information and search, copy, paste, send, without thinking about who might really own that information. And this is something that is only a phenomenon of the past 20 years. Certainly copyright has been an issue for a long time, and it was in the US Constitution, and we brought it over from England. But now the ease with which we can share and we can find and we can use has really brought copyright to the fore again. And there are many myths and misunderstandings about copyright in the digital age. And so I try to guide people. I sort of consider it a gray, murky ooze. And here's my gray, murky ooze hat, you know. And my purpose is to guide you through and sort of try to come to some daylight through the gray, murky ooze. And yes, have it be a tool for us to achieve our goals. Right. So we are consumers of copyrighted materials, but we're also creators.
Yes.
And because it's easy to share, we know, unfortunately, that there are people who will take. I don't know if you've run into that, but suddenly you find out that things that you worked long and hard on have just been taken and used without permission, without credit, without a link, much less any money. And so one of my current campaigns is guard your gold mine. We all have a gold mine, and we have web pages, we have blogs, we have audio, we have video, we have software, and it's all that we have created that's original is our gold mine, and we want to guard that. So one of the things that I work with people in is some easy measures to take to guard your gold mine. But I should back up perhaps a little bit and explain a little bit about what copyright is. It's one form of intellectual property protection. We're familiar with patents and trademarks, trade secrets, design patents, that kind of thing. And copyright is one of those. Copyright protects original works of authorship that have been fixed in a tangible medium. So they're original, they're fixed, and there has to be some modicum of creativity. And I know you'd like to know exactly what the definition of that is. This is where we pull in one of our first copyright principles. This is a legal term. It depends. Everything is so situationally based, the who, what, when, where, why, how. It depends. Yes. And so oftentimes, that's why it seems like a gray, murky ooze. And we'd like to have clear answers. Yes, no, but it depends. So so creative, original, and fixed in a tangible medium. Well, what does that mean, tangible medium? Tangible, it could be paper, it could be audio, it could be video, it could be online, it could be sculpture, so that it is fixed and has a permanence, versus an idea. An idea could be floating around. Copyright protects the expression of that idea. So if you don't want anyone else to know the idea, you have a trade secret. Like the recipe for Coca-Cola. Yes. No one person knows that recipe. So copyright protects the expression of ideas. So this could be books, movies, films, photographs, images, those kinds of things that are the works of the mind. And the idea of copyright and any of the intellectual property is to stimulate creation, to incentivize creators. So the reward, the incentive for creating is a limited time monopoly. That is, in the case of copyright, for a period of time, you have the exclusive rights to copy, reproduce, distribute, create derivative works like translations or screenplays or whatever, to perform publicly and to display publicly. And so you have those exclusive rights for a period of time, and certainly you can license those rights to others. And right now, that monopoly lasts for the individual author, the individual creator, for life of the creator plus 70 years.
Oh, interesting.
That is a long time.
Yes.
Originally, copyright duration in the US was for 14 years, plus the option to renew for 14 years.
Oh, interesting.
And so that has expanded over the years. And in fact, to try to determine when copyright has expired so that anyone can use something for any purpose, it's a long chart. You know, it depends on this and it depends on that and blah, blah, blah. But right now, it's the life of the author plus 70 years. So imagine that if I wrote something at the age of 20 and copyrighted it, and I lived to 100, you know, there's my 80 years of life plus 70 years more. So that's a very long time. That's one of the issues with copyright. There's that incentive, but trying to balance that with what's the good for society, what's the good for the public. The reason that we offer it an incentive is that it advances our culture, our society, our sciences, our economy. But when, you know, what's the balance between what's good for the public as a consumer and what's good for the creator for their reward for creating? And so that's an area that's often in conflict, and maybe that's why you see some things going to court. Those exclusive rights are very important. We want to balance the rights, but we also need to be able to build on and create based on other things. As business people, we know that content is very important. Mm-hmm. Certainly we create content, but we know there's good content out there. Mm-hmm. Why reinvent the wheel? Mm-hmm. So being able to use content that already exists wisely, ethically, legally, with some thought to our budgets and our finances is one of the things that I try to help people with. I want to talk a little bit about the expiration of copyright and what that means. Once the copyright expires, a work goes into what's called the public domain. And that means that it's no longer protected by copyright and anyone can do anything with it. They can pull it apart, they can build on it, they can use pieces of it, whatnot, the public domain. And it's exciting to be doing this program with you right now because something special is coming on January 1st, 2019. January 1st is always Public Domain Day, so that anything that's coming into the public domain, you know, from the previous year that there's been the expiration, January 1st is Public Domain Day. Well, in the United States, we haven't been able to celebrate Public Domain Day for 20 years. Nothing has come into the public domain in the US in 20 years. It's been coming in the public domain in other countries, but not in the US. Right now, anything, as a rule of thumb, anything published prior to 1923 is in the public domain. Finally, on January 1st, 2019, we're going to see some things actually come into the public domain. So 1923 things, so that films and books and art and variety of things that we have not had creative access to, we're going to have a wonderful deluge.
So anybody can use any of that? Like will there be a list of something somewhere
Yes.
that somebody can go to?
Yes, and I'll put a list post a list to your Rise Above the Noise.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you.
So there are some things that we think of as old, and they might be considered old to our kids, but they aren't old in copyright terms.
Yeah, but there may be some, like you said, some creative uses we can use these things for, if anybody can use them. I have a couple quick questions, if this is an okay time to ask.
Yes.
So two things. One is that, so a lot of my clients and the people in my groups are small business owners. And I, for one, understand that there are people who have been creating content much longer than I have. They've been doing it longer. They've done it all. The only thing I can bring to the table really is to offer it up in a different way. And so two questions really. One is, if something already exists, what is the best practice? I was going to tell you what I do, but let me find out what the best practice is before I tell you what I do. Maybe I shouldn't tell you what I do. But, it's always been my practice really to take small nuggets, a couple of sentences, and then link back to the source for the most part. But how else can we, as small business owners who don't have full-time copywriters and, are doing a million things, what would be a good, safe way for us to, number one, find and use other people's content, and number two, in particular, let's talk about that second, talk about photos, images second. So let's talk about content like words first.
Well, I commend you that think link is one of my favorite phrases. Think link. Linking, that's providing the URL, is not making a copy. And so it doesn't enter the copyright realm. So a URL is like a bibliographic citation or an address. It's when the person clicks on that person then has to weigh the risks of how they want to use it and what the copyright situation might be. So that's perfect, especially for Facebook and blog posts and things, to have a couple of introductory sentences. I'm sharing this with you because it's important, because blah, 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 and then the link. And then the reader, the user, goes to that link. So that is perfect.
Okay.
One of my favorites also is, just because you can right click doesn't mean you should. So the technology has advanced with the speed of light, well past the law. So we think that, oh, it's out there, it must be there for me to grab and use. The author wouldn't put it out there if they didn't want me to use it. And if I couldn't right click, if it wasn't technologically possible, then I guess I shouldn't do it. So all of that comes together. A couple of things that I like to impress on people is always assume something is copyright protected until you can determine otherwise. So maybe you're looking at that date. Things that are created by federal government employees in the line of their employment are not protected by copyright.
Oh, interesting.
And we know that that's a rich resource. There are the child care, baby care manual or whatever is one of the biggest selling federal documents, into gardening and auto repair. And so all of those things are in the public domain. What we have to be a little aware of in the digital age is that not everything at a .gov site is in the public domain. The government may have licensed something so that it's accessible to us, but that doesn't mean that it's free to use. But it is a treasure trove of resources. Oh, it's important to read the fine print.
Right. And then to go on to, say, images, I know that we were talking about an issue that's come up with one of my clients recently. But many people, and I guess I'll put this list on the Rise Above the Noise group as well, there are a lot of copyright-free image offerings online right now. I use Pexels, I use Unsplash, I use Pixabay, and then I use Canva a lot, and they have some free images they allow you to use, as well as some you can pay $1 for. What's good? Have you had experience with like people? So, I mean, and we're talking now about what we use and what's copyrighted that we need to pay attention to, but that also comes back to when you're talking about the content that we're creating. Do we have to register it as copyright, or do you just put it at the bottom of your topic, or do you just put a disclaimer on your website? Like, how do we as small business owners protect our own work?
Yes. How do we guard our gold mine?
Yes.
A couple of complicating issues. Our English teachers may have drummed into us, look for the C in a circle, all of that kind of thing. Well, since 1989, the C in a circle, C in a circle, 19 whatever year, the name of the holder, all rights reserved. That's no longer required.
No.
So that leaves us at a loss, and it's no longer required to apply for copyright to the U.S. Copyright Office. Now, one of the advantages of having had to apply was that it created a public record. So now what we may see something with no C in a circle, and we're quick to say, oh, public domain. We might try to take a step and search the copyright database. Oh, I don't see it. Must be public domain. And so now we have things called orphans. We know that they're protected because they're fixed, they're original, they're creative, but we don't know whose they are. And there's that danger of, should I use it or not? Where am I on that risk continuum? So that's why I advise people to assume that something is copyright protected until they can determine otherwise.
So if I write a blog, and I'm particularly brilliant that day, and then I find that somebody has taken, let's say, 3 full paragraphs without giving me credit, is that a copyright infringement on their part?
Well, it depends, but we'll say yes. Just because you don't have to have a C in a circle and you don't have to register with the U.S. Copyright Office, I highly recommend doing both of those things. The C in a circle sort of puts people on notice that this isn't just free to use. I often recommend adding an email address or something, so it makes it easy for someone to contact you about permission or licensing. But registering your copyright with the Copyright Office can be done online. It's quite straightforward, and it's inexpensive. $55, $100, depending on.
Would that cover my whole website or only one particular blog post?
Well, certainly you could put a copyright notice on your website. Mm-hmm. Also, being sure that your terms and conditions as part of your website are clear. Now, that's
very nice.
contract law. That's not copyright law.
Yeah.
But they could be breaching contract if they misuse your things. You may want to register items that are especially valuable or near or dear.
Yeah.
And in order to go to court to receive damages, it must have been registered with the U.S. Copyright Office. So the C in a circle notice, the copyright notice, doesn't really give you a lot of legal options.
Gotcha.
And damages, you can be awarded damages, $150,000 per infringement. And you may remember back in the day of Napster and music and whatnot, people
right.
being sued for large amounts of money because each infringement was an infringement. What some people do is they will group things, say maybe Susan Finn's blog posts January to June 2018, and register those as a group. There are certainly pros and cons to that. If someone were to take many pieces from that 6 months, it's only one infringement. So
I see.
so there are pros and cons that I like to help people weigh. But definitely taking some measures in the creation process to guard your gold mine, can save a lot of headaches down the road.
Well, I often tell my clients to make sure to put their logo or their website or something that's like, so that you know it's theirs. And I often try to tell my clients too that if they're putting a watermark on like a beautiful quote that's going to get shared all around, put it somewhere where it can't get cropped out.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And unfortunately, there are no guarantees, no matter what reasonable measures we take. But my motto of manage copyright, don't let it manage you. It's there to be a tool. It's not there to paralyze us, but it's not to be ignored either. I mean, there are some people who won't do anything, and then there are other people who say, nah, they'll never find me.
Yes.
Not true.
Right.
Or I'll ask for forgiveness later. Well,
yes.
That could be a $20 million forgiveness.
Now, how is it? How do you work with your clients? What is it? What are your clients' pain points that they're coming to? I know you do a lot of speaking, and that's super important, and you do a lot of writing too. But do you work one-on-one with clients, and what does that look like?
Yes, absolutely. And I really like to work with them in terms of what their goal is. Mm-hmm. Are they protecting something? Maybe they're wondering, can I use this image? We talked briefly about images. Can I use this image? Or I really like this piece. How can I get permission? Or there's a whole area called fair use. Could I do a fair use analysis and be able to use this without having to get permission? And that's a whole thought process. So whatever the client's goals, I try to help them achieve that.
Yes.
I come from an academic library background, and so from a copyright aspect, well, any aspect really, I try to be the know librarian, the KNOW librarian, not the no librarian. So, let's try this instead in order to achieve your goals. But the worst thing is to get a letter in the mail from an attorney who's not your attorney saying, you have infringed and send money. Yes. And you might say, what? I don't even know what happened. Right. That's what happens when you do a Google search and just grab whatever you see.
1,000%. Oh, thank you so much. So, so why don't we go through how people can reach you? You have a website.
Yes, my website's managecopyright.com, and that's MANAGERIGHT.com.
Right, not W. Right. And then I'm looking at my notes, and it looks like that people can go to your website and sign up for your email list and get a free download.
Yes, I have an ebook, The 10 Biggest Copyright Mistakes Anyone Can Make That Could
Awesome.
Land You in Court. And that goes into more depth of what we've been talking about. I'm part of a new book called Jumpstart Your Blank. And my chapter is Jumpstart Your Intellectual Property.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Managing your gold mine. And I wanted to make one more special offer to this tribe, this wonderful tribe.
This wonderful tribe, yes.
I have a 10-point analysis of copyright strategies for business success.
Okay.
And that's a quick 10-point analysis
Mm-hmm.
To sort of see where things are, thinking about some aspects of copyright that you might not have thought of. And it's always good to have planned ahead. And so you can contact me for that. It's assessment 27. Put that in a subject line for Barb at managecopyright.com. And I'm pleased to be able to offer that to you today for $27. So please just be in touch with me at Barb at managecopyright.com, subject line assessment 27, and we'll see where we want to go from there.
Boy, that sounds like a really good idea, just to make sure that you've got all your ducks in a row, that you're protected, and you don't get that letter from that attorney that is not yours.
Right. Yes.
Awesome. Barbara, thank you so much for spending time with me today to go over this. I'll be posting this soon, and I'm sure that people are going to have questions, because this is that thing that kind of looms behind our heads, like we're not really thinking about it, but you don't know what you don't know, so you should go out and find it out.
Right. Well, thank you for the opportunity to spread the word.
Awesome. Thanks, Barbara.
Thank you.
Take care, hon.
Bye-bye.